I chose my outfit very carefully that day. Professional, but feminine. Something that wouldn't put him off, but wouldn't lead him on either. My God, it gets complicated. I suggested, for convenience sake, that we eat at the Crown restaurant on the top floor of our building. I never go there myself. It's very tacky, a hangout for singles, people who think they're celebrities. It's quite pathetic, really. Disco, fern, reggae, whatever the trend of the moment might be, they remodel it every other year or so. And I was relieved when David countered my suggestion with another place, a few blocks away. Smaller, cozy, very nice. On the way, we talked about the weather. We were well into spring, but only in the past few days had the sun come out and the temperatures warmed. I remarked that just that morning I had seen the first crocuses blooming in my yard, yellow and purple. We passed a young couple on a corner kissing, and David said, "Spirited," with a laugh. Must be something in the air. At the restaurant, we're talking about the rents in the building and the conditions of the lease, whatever. I was careful to keep the conversation on a neutral ground until David asked if I liked the restaurant. I told him yes, very much. I'd never been there before. A harmless lie, and I was about to tell him that I'd only suggested the Crown for convenience and what a relief it was not to go there when he said, "Well, I do hope you don't mind. I see quite enough of the Crown. I'm a captain there." And I smiled and nodded, but I'm thinking, oh my God, this beautiful man is a waiter. Of course he's more than that. He's a captain, which means he's very well paid, but it also means that he's deeply into that incredibly vulgar and superficial scene, and my image of him is going down like a crippled airliner. It's such devastating news that I can barely hear what he's saying, so I take a moment to pause and wipe my lips on the napkin and say, "I'm sorry, David, I couldn't quite hear what you said." "I said I'm also an actor," he said. "I mean, that is what I really, in my heart of hearts, want to do." And he goes on to tell me how good the restaurant has been with giving him leaves of absences so he can trot off to do shows. He's going to New Orleans next month, he tells me, to do a Neil Simon play. I can't recall which one because I was nearly blacking out at the time, from shock. I had to reach for my water glass and take a sip to calm my nerves. How could this be happening to me, I was asking myself, like in a nightmare? Is this really me? Am I here? I had promised myself, I don't know how many years ago, 10, 15, that I would never, under any circumstances, ever see or have anything to do with another actor. The worst experiences of my life were with actors. I don't know why, some terrible coincidence, but there it was. Actors were on a par with wood sprites or musicians, for goodness sakes. And here he was, talking about his acting career. I drank the entire glass of water. I wondered what exactly fate had against me. I suppose if you were Vicky and Billie Jean's age, that it would be all right to be a waiter and an actor. There might even be something romantic, in a way, attached to it. But good Lord, when you get to be my age, and with a daughter, too, there's something very inappropriate about it, I think. Traipsing around the country taking bit parts. I just don't see how a grown man could be doing that sort of thing. So there I was with this man who looked like David and talked like David, but even here I was in for a shattering disappointment. Somewhere in the course of that disaster that lunch had become, he told me about the voice work he did around town and mentioned some of it. And one of them I've heard, my God, it came as a shock, I'll tell you. He was the voice behind the Snake Eye barbecue sauce commercial. I recognized it the moment he said it, and I'd even tried it once. It was way too sweet for my taste, ketchup and brown sugar, and there I was having lunch with the voice of Snake Eye barbecue sauce. I can't tell you how relieved I was when David told me he wasn't going back to the building. He had another appointment at some agency, and did I mind walking back by myself? "Oh, no, not at all," I told him, in a voice that I hoped indicated that I was quite content to be by myself. He also took that moment to tell me that he'd soon be leaving town for good. He was taking his daughter back to England, and he took my hand and thanked me for being such an awfully nice gal. I wished him the best of luck, and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. We parted, and I thought, not for the first time, about what a dreadful cheat life can be, how your expectations can so honestly be raised, no matter how experienced you are, or how cautious you try to be. and how those expectations are so nearly always dashed to pieces. It is by far, I try to remind myself, best to stick to facts, what you know. When you let your guard down and your mind plays tricks on you, like the girls in the office, you're only setting yourself up for a fall. Oh well, I felt better by the time I reached the building. It was really a splendid day. I hadn't seriously expected that anything would come of that lunch anyway. That kind of foolishness is behind me, thank God. In the elevator back up to my floor, I realized there was still the problem of the girls. They would want to know everything immediately. Barb alone would not inquire unless I offered, and Billie Jean, too, probably would wait for my lead. But Vicky was too young and impetuous to know any better. She'd come right out and ask the moment I got back. And so I was thinking, my God, this will devastate them. It could actually damage their morale. And sure enough, I'm not even in the office. The door hasn't closed behind me when Vicky blurts out, "Well?" And the others crowd around. It flustered me. I felt I should have something momentous to say, almost as if I could announce I was going to have a baby, so everyone could shout and celebrate. I took off my coat and hung it in the closet, letting the silence build. Then I turned around, still not knowing quite what I would do, and said, "You'll never believe it." "What?" Barb said, grabbing her throat. "What?" "He is a lord," said Billie Jean. "He really is a lord, a duke, a baron. I knew it, I knew it." I smiled. "Oh my God," said Vicky. "Oh my God." "I told you," said Barb. "I told you he was perfect." "Are you going to see him again?" said Vicky. "He's leaving town," I said. "He's going back to England." "Oh no," they cried. "It's all right," I said. "It was strictly business." And I smiled as bravely as I could and sailed into my office, leaving them gasping in my wake. I believe I must have learned something from those damn actors after all.